This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And here we are on January the 15th, 2022. And I'm going to tell you, it's a cold one out there. Buckle up, get yourself warm, folks. I have a wonderful guest on the show, and I got an interesting little backstory and how I connected with this individual. I was actually set to celebrate the anniversary of a comedy that I had seen when it was released about 20 years ago. And when I reached out, I got a response, but it wasn't the person I reached out to. But you know what? That's not a problem because I found a gem. I give you a poet, folks. I give you a writer. I give you Mr. Brett Harrison. How do you do, Brett?
I'm doing well, man. Good to be here.
You know what? You did something really smart when you responded to me on Facebook there. Rather than just tell me that I got the wrong person, you went on to tell me what you were all about, and you promoted yourself, and you showcased your writing and your poetry, and I believe you were a musician as well.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. And I looked at that, and I remember one thing you said. You said, you probably I forget the exact word, but said something about probably not up there with my other guest, and I'm like, yeah, but who am I? And I and when I stop and think about this, it's like I always look for the story. And when you yeah, sure, you weren't the guy I was looking for, but the same token, I think I found something even better, like I love the fact that you plugged yourself anyway, and you gave me something to work with. And as I read your description and what you do, I was like, here's a story. And I always tell other podcasters, go for the story.
Right.
Go for the story. And so I'm really happy that we connected. And I thought,
Me too.
yeah, so I think that was pretty cool. Have you seen Orange County before? Have you did you know about?
I've been familiar with it insofar as I know there's an actor named Brett Harrison, spelled the same way as me, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's an all right comedy. I saw the theaters back about 20. Can't believe it's been 20 years, but but I love the fact that you self-promoted yourself and you actually sold yourself to me. And I thought that was very smart on your part, because not everybody would think to do that. So anyway, before we get into your writing, please give me a little bit of your background and how you come to get into what you're doing now. Like, have you always wanted to write? Were you always into poetry?
Okay, so when I was in first grade, I learned to read and write, and my thought process when I discovered it was my great fear was losing imagination when I grew up. And I thought, I realized with writing, I can play my imagination at any age, save it, share it, record it, maybe even make money off of it in a living. And I thought, this is just too good. My father's father died at 32 years old in around 1952 or 53. And, but he was already a translator for the Mayo Clinic and knew 5 languages fluently. So language, I think it's in my blood. Poetry, I definitely poo-pooed when I was a young guy. I was like, oh, that's weak, willy washy, whatever.
We all did.
Yeah,
We all did.
And then one night after the school dance that didn't quite work out, I was listening to a lot of Pink Floyd music in my room in the headphones, and I was lying in bed in the it was just black in there, and I picked up the notebook by my bed, and in the darkness, not even able to see what I was writing, these words came to me, and I looked at them over the next day, and they would stick in my head like a song, and I just was blown away by them. And then it took about 2 or 3 weeks to write another good poem, and after that, I've done a great poem about that was 2002. I was 15 years old, and since then I've done a poem about every 2 to 4 weeks, or maybe every 3 weeks on average, and that's been going for almost 20 years now. So I've gotten 9 poetry books done through that,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
yeah, so
keep going. Yep.
I've spent the last 12 years working on a memoir series. I have the first one almost done, but in fact, I'll probably finish it today, complete it today, and send it to the agency. So maybe that can be another podcast in the future.
Oh
But
yeah. Yeah, I'd gladly have you back. Yes.
I'm excited for that. It's going to be a trilogy. I have the second and third mostly finished too, but the first one is the one that I need to get done. I spent 12 years on the damn thing, and it's almost done. So that's exciting. I just released a new poetry collection, a kaleidoscopic love, it's called. You can find it all. My website is brettharrisonportal.com. So people can go there and find all my stuff there, and links to everything, find me on social media, all of that. It's the portal to Brett. So that's it.
I know you sent me a lot of material.
Yeah,
and I didn't get to, I'm an essential worker. I work as a cleaner. So I am in and out, but I did look over your material, and I gotta say, you write beautifully.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
beautifully. And I would be reading some of your poems, and I'd be like, it sounds to me like you're talking about a woman, but then again, I don't know. Maybe you're symbolizing something, because poetry,
Sometimes
yeah.
sometimes it's the woman, sometimes it's life, sometimes it's myself, sometimes it's been prophecy of things that would happen later in my life almost. But usually a poem comes when it comes. Like, I will just feel this kind of pregnancy in my mind, and I know then it's time to write something down, and it just whatever comes out, and I don't always even know what it means. Usually later on I'll find out, it'll be revealed eventually, but that first poetry book, I had no idea what any of it meant at the time.
Well, you mentioned Pink Floyd, That Fateful Night, and it's
Yeah,
interesting you say that, because, I love the movie Pink Floyd, The Wall. Speaking of a very poetic movie and album,
yeah,
yeah, I've interviewed Jenny Wright, who appears in the movie, and that is interesting because the whole album tells this story. and all these afflictions this rock star is going through, and the challenges he's going through mentally. Was there any particular song by Pink Floyd that really stood out to you that got you going in that direction?
Um, well, the album that really hit me hard in all of it was The Division Bell.
Okay.
I was having issues in my family when I was growing up some with my brother, and there'd be these awful fights, and I would hide in my room and I'd crank that album up, and just it would make me feel better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a good album.
Yeah. Yeah. Pink Floyd is great. Do you ever see them in concert?
I've been kind of I haven't seen any big bands in concert yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've been without a vehicle in the Great North Woods and a small city in Michigan, and I traveled a lot when I was a kid, but I haven't seen any big bands, but I listen to music voraciously.
Mm-hmm.
When I write, I listen to music. So that's lyrics are a lot, and the feelings from music are a lot of what fuel my writing.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And of course, lyrics and poetry kind of pretty much go hand in hand,
For sure.
Now that first book of poetry that you wrote, now you mentioned, it just seems to come out, and you just uh it's like you're writing it as you're thinking it. I don't even know how I can put this into words, but how long did it take you on that first book?
Um, I guess the first book was written between May of 2002 and December of 2003.
Oh wow.
I published them years later. My first book of poetry I published was a different collection, but that was in 2015. And I've published, I guess, 11 books now since then. That first poetry book is called Forgotten Incense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good poem, actually.
You know what?
What?
Why don't you treat us to some poetry? You say that one's a good poem.
Yeah, I'll
I
show you.
want, yeah, share that poem. I want to hear you read that poem off for us.
Okay, let me find that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, why that one? Now, what's the backstory to this poem?
I had just had a sleepover with my best friend at the time, Robert, and or maybe it was with John. It was a sleepover. I think it must have been with John because John, well, I discovered incense at his house when I was in kindergarten. His brother had some burning, and I thought it was the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I called it Forgotten Incense because I thought about how a lot of people kind of seem to have been forgetting the culinary culture at the time, and so maybe that's what the name came from. So here we go.
Okay. Yes.
Forgotten incense. Your breaths take in the fire of forgotten incense dancing through your mind, and freeze-dried ideas can puncture the fruits of a simple game of defeat. And in this room that's empty with hollowed out truths, where forgotten incense lulled you away, it gets worse as the memories climax and your mind runs out of ink. Painful laughing reverberates still to the clock chime of a day that shouldn't be. Every passing hour masks eternity, and forgotten incense's wake left you more hollow than the crushing sins of your love, and we can never succumb to sleep.
That is awesome. I couldn't do that. Now,
I
Even
was
you reading
15.
that, huh?
I was 15 years old when I wrote that, man.
Now what, like, where does that come from, you know? Because that
Yeah.
was great. You got to get
Um,
there.
yeah. Hey, I have a better answer for you for your question of about Pink Floyd. What music, what song or album really affected me?
Sure.
My next poetry book is called Schism, and there is this very long poem in it, maybe 12, 14, 18 pages, I'm not sure, called
Mhm.
Schism. And that was kind of inspired by two things: Howl by Allen Ginsberg, the great poem, and Dark Side of the Moon. That that I was 18 years old. I'm not going to read that one; it's too long. But I was 18 years old. I had smoked weed in my room while my parents were gone, and it affected me incredibly strongly. I had this. I basically tripped for 8 hours off of one puff, off of one hit, and and when I laid in bed, I thought, I just had this really intense day, creative day, and maybe I should try write something. And I spent all night writing the poem, and then I spent a couple of months editing it. That one was a hard one to do because it was so epic. But yeah, that's what the Schism poetry book is named after. Is all my poetry books are named after one of the books in the collection, and
Mhm.
usually one of the best ones. So yeah, I do have a reading from Schism though.
Okay.
This is called Social Security, and
Okay.
this book was written in 2002 and 2005. Oh, sorry, 2004 and 2005.
Hmm.
So it's next in the collection. Here we go.
Okay. Hmm.
He's the freest man that ever was, ensconcing himself in the selfish human works, and is painting from his joy, while a painting pronounces herself joyful. He writes with the longest words to enlarge and make magnificent his monument for all the foul things to see, to make them all agree that we're but human. He's living a delusion that nothingness can't mimic, and is independent with his monuments that shine beneath the sun, to make fountains when it rains and to pierce all the fog and melt all the snow. Nothingness can't do that, can't hear the piano tingle to the sweet flow of confined but intensely free humanity. She awakes in the night, night of happy promiscuity, delicately drenched with ivory youth. Idealists, their pride gushes with their blood, the blood that genetically holds them, but which they hold. When they awoke, they had never slept nor winked with the golden majesty's hand. They'd get old together with 10-cent rhymes and orgies of white lies, blacking out the wrinkles that percolated from the nothingness they poked fun at. And when they died of separation, and there were but two, they clung to monuments of control, and the artist died convinced.
Yeah, that was terrific. You must have been a treat in your English classes growing up.
I uh, I went to college for English, and
Hmm.
I was having my own mental health things. My I had a class with my advisor who was teaching it. He was also the dean of the school,
Hmm.
and he was a class on. It was, I think, 18th century American writing, or I think it was just American literature. It was a class seminar in American literature. I got a D in it. I by that
Well,
point I
listening to
was
those poems, I'd say you should get an A+.
right. Well, I I didn't care about anyone else's writings. I just cared about my own.
Yep.
But that was a phase. That was just a phase. Um,
Sometimes too, and this was like with me when I was in school. Writing under pressure, it comes better when you just do it on your own, as opposed to being told this or deadline this, you know. Would you not agree?
I definitely agree.
Hmm.
Um, for a couple years, and maybe 2005 and 2006, I wanted to be a poet. I had a poet best friend, and he got me into Ginsberg, and he got me into Bob Dylan music, and that's when I first became a 1960s beatnik who fell through a time warp, and I still am. But I forget where I was going with that. It's gone. Oh well.
Well, I noticed too, like I know you've done a lot of poetry. You also got a memoir, or not, it's not memoir. I need to
I
go back to it because you sent me one that uh looked like it was a book. Oh
I have
yeah, I think it was the colony number one
page
page. Is that
77
yeah,
so
is
bad.
that yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that actually I wrote when I was 14 and 15 years old. It's a comedy science fiction book.
Okay.
Um, very poorly edited. Um, on the back, I have a quote from one of my best friends. He says, "Man, I love colony number one. It's so bad, it's good, and with time, it just gets worse." I do have a about a page long short story of that I could read. Fun because
Sure.
it has short stories in the end. It's called Breen and Guinness Save Earth. Breen and Guinness are the main characters. I don't know if this includes Grabble Gravel Marks in it or not, but
Hmm.
he's kind of a sentient deity. And Breen is based off of me, and Guinness is based off of my teddy bear, who is one of my best friends. So,
Is it like Ted from that movie that smokes the bong?
from Bill and Ted, it's like,
No, no, the movie Ted.
oh yeah, um,
I mean, if you're going to have a teddy bear, you go
right.
all out on that, you know?
Well, I wrote this before those movies, I think,
Oh,
but um, yeah, it's science fiction. They're kind of happy-go-lucky weirdos, and Guinness is the president of the Intergalactic Space Federation or something like that.
uh-huh.
Breen is his lackey who does jobs for him and Grabble Gravel Marks. And Guinness also, or Grabble Gravel Marks also hires Guinness to do them. And it's slapstick, it's ridiculous. It was inspired by Douglas Adams's humor,
Okay.
but it's not as good.
Hmm.
But it's pretty good. So Breen and Guinness save Earth. Breen and Guinness engaged in a magnificent dance before the director of foreign affairs, and upon realizing they had an audience, disengaged abruptly. "Hello," Breen said, jumping to alertness. "Sir," Guinness added on Breen's behalf. "I don't want formalities," the director said, releasing the uncomfortably erect postures of Breen and Guinness and putting them very much at ease. "Because I hate you and I'm not going to see you." And with that, he stormed out. "Sir," Guinness shouted while chasing him, "the president sent us." In actuality, Guinness was the president, but it wasn't a terribly good one or a terribly present one. So the Intergalactic Space Federation usually went out of its way not to remind him or his electorate or anyone of this rather unfortunate occurrence. Guinness usually said he was acting, quote, on behalf, end quote, of the president rather than he was the president, for he found he usually got more respect for the former identity. "The order was on yellow paper," barked the director, and added a footnote to the effect that if they didn't leave immediately, Guinness would be far too dead to ever print orders on yellow paper again. "Oh," Guinness said, remembering that to avoid him, the government had passed a rule, which he had rather unfortunately signed since the bill had been included in his prison release forms, which stated that for any of the president's orders or bills to be a high enough priority that anyone would actually get around to looking at them before they had expired, they had to be read. The Red House didn't have red paper. Guinness sighed and sent his benderometer to full. Let it be known that benderometer is an exciting new invention for the poor of wallet, who are not wealthy or healthy enough, or simply not morally inclined to actively participate in the seemingly act of going on benders. The benderometer works by injecting powerful and specialized 10-second long hallucinogenic into the bloodstream of the user. The effect is always that in those 10 seconds, the user's clothes become far more disheveled and they get the memory of drinking an excessive amount before finding a corner and vomiting to make the effect complete. "Yes, this is rather embarrassing," Breen said as Guinness passed his lunch on the director's desk and whipped his fur, jumped to the sky, and collapsed in a stupor in the corner. Greenside because he voluntarily hung out with Guinness, and also because they had just failed to save the planet. So he took out his personal teleportation unit, stuffed Guinness in a nice small ball that he sent up to the personal items beam, then he felt his entire body tingle, and his energy surfed through the solar system to a small ship orbiting it, rather orbiting a now gargantuan ship which had been orbiting it. Guinness and he had picked up the foreign heavy battle cruiser's high priority warning as it had gone asteroid tipping after one particularly nasty pseudo bender. And upon looking through their own ship's logs, discovered that these ships usually had only one high priority warning if they were planning on blowing up a planet. And the ship hailed all the spinning blue planets, saying, "Planet, we just came to tell you that you have a real doozy of a dumb president." Assuming wrongly that this insult was sufficient enough to launch an all-out war, battle cruiser then evacuated to prepare for the counterattack that, due to Guinness's extreme incompetence, would never come.
You know
It's
what?
weird. What?
You know what? That it's great though. It's like does that come to you? Like I hear you read it, but I'm wondering if it comes to you when you write it, kind of the way you read it there. Like this, you just kind of like you're on a roll, and it's like I gotta get. You hear about musicians that wake up in the middle of the night and they get the song in their mind. They gotta write it down right there so they don't forget.
Mhm.
Is it something like that with you?
It can be. Not so much with fiction, unless it's a very plot intensive thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time where I had to have a notebook with me all the time, so I could write whatever and I came to me, and so that I could always be in writing mode. And then I grew up a little bit, and life got more intense, and I learned to compartmentalize it. But my poems come. So when I'm writing fiction, or nonfiction, when anything but poetry or songs, I can basically open it up, work on it, close it, and it's in a compartment. And all the ideas come when I open it up. And when I close it up, they're sealed in there. With my poetry and songs, I have to write when they're there. When I feel that poignancy inside, or some, I just think of or hear a word that, or a sentence that sparks something, or even just say something, and I think, oh, that would be good. Then I have to write down. Otherwise, or at least I have to start it. If I just get started, that can be enough that I can come back and work on it later. But if I don't get started, it's gone.
Okay. Well, let's touch on being a musician, but do you got any do you play any instruments, and if so, what is your instrument of choice?
Well, I play electric and acoustic guitar.
Oh, nice.
I don't have any now. I lost a bunch of musical equipment over the summer. I'm going to be getting replacements for it, but kind of sad story that we won't get into. But I on my first couple albums, Hard Earned Love and Hard Earned Love Redux Edition, which is just a re-recording of the first in a different style slightly. I had a harmonica with a harmonica holder, like Bob Dylan style, and played acoustic guitar. And my new album, which is now on YouTube and YouTube Music, and you can find it's on the main page of Brett Harrison Portal, so you can just go there. It's called Vintage the Home Recordings. I didn't have harmonica, so I didn't include any of that. It probably would have been a little better album if I had, but I think it's a pretty decent album. So, and so all my albums are folk music right now, or folk punk. And I'm working on starting a band called Plus Times. And that'll be kind of indie punk, kind of psychedelic punk. I have an album mostly written for that, and it'll probably be out in a couple years. Um, oh, I do want to say I am also working on a new Brian Guinness book, which
Mhm.
has it's called The Second Presidency of Guinness G. Guinness. As the inspiration was the idea that maybe was a satire of if Donald Trump gets reelected again or gets elected again. So, because Guinness is a terrible president and Trump was a terrible president, so it's just if that happens, I have the book for it.
So you obviously, I mean, you've read your poetry on here. Um, I take it you're comfortable reading in front of people. Is that correct?
I'm becoming comfortable.
You should. You sound very natural. You sound very confident.
I have this problem when I'm in front of an audience, when I'm standing in front of a formal audience, where that's when I get the, that is when the critic in my head starts going crazy. And sometimes I read too quickly, and I've been working on all of that. I think when I start to play shows, that's going to help a lot too, because I can throw in a poem in there now and then and practice more. Um, which should be soon. I was waiting for this new album to be done before I started reaching out, and it's just been done in the last couple of weeks, so I haven't yet started reaching out. But because I had a kind of rhythm problem with my music, and I figured that out before I recorded the new album. So now my rhythm is really good,
Mhm.
and I don't worry about playing in front of people. I have been good with an audience all my life. It's the poetry that's difficult for me in front of an audience. I guess
Okay.
it's I guess it's because it's so personal. I
Hmm.
mean, if I'm playing music in front of an audience, then I have an instrument. I have a guitar and maybe harmonicas to back me up, and that's makes it much more comfortable.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future, if I read poetry in front of people, I'll have a guitar. I'm strumming along with it. I would like to record my maybe albums based on my poetry at some point. And I think I'm about ready to do that too.
Hmm.
Um, I need a new string for my guitar though.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, I got 5 strings on it, and it's actually the G string that is broken. There's a lot of guitarist jokes about the G string.
Yeah, I bet there is.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to get into a whole album done up, especially the writing part?
um, it varies wildly. Um, my the songs of um the last album were written between 2006 and I want to say 2019 or so.
Okay.
Um, 2020 actually, I think, but no, 2019. Yeah. Um, but the Plus Times album, I have all but 2 songs done, and I wrote them all in a weekend 10 years ago, but I didn't have the musical capability of playing it well. So now I'm learning the songs and trying to get a band together for that. So that was a weekend though for 12 songs.
So you've done something I couldn't have done, you know. Some people, like I said, they could just sit down and it just comes to them. And it's like goes from your mind to the pen or the computer keys or whatever, and it just comes right out. Um, so yeah. Well, we should tell people where they can uh, obtain this, because I know you get a web page. Please plug it on here.
BrettHarrisonPortal.com.
What's the portal part? Is it kind of like uh, a mental thing where it's a portal like into what you're visualizing when you do your poetry or your music?
I was thinking of it just as like as a portal into my whole universe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at there.
Yeah.
You explained
Also,
it better than me.
yeah. I needed something besides just Brett Harrison because that's a very common name.
Yeah,
So,
obviously.
yeah. Obviously, I mean Orange County. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, but you got your web page there, and you sell your books on there, I take it, right?
There's a link to my Amazon page. If you click on books on Amazon, it opens up the Amazon page, and you can get all my books there.
Yeah.
Um, the music, I should work on it a little bit better, but it's all available through, well, the last two albums, the Heart and Love and Heart and Love Redux Edition, are available on online sales only, and vintage the home recordings will be as well. um I just I've been on disability. I'm very poor, and I haven't had money to print off actual CDs printed off. But I think
The
the
pen
future will things will
the,
change.
the
I think I'll have
pandemic
future.
certainly hasn't helped, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Although the pandemic can be an opportunity for you to write more stuff though too.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been in that way.
Yeah, I know you sent a bunch of material to me on email, so I did not get to check your web page out, because mostly it's been me work in the apartment. My
Right.
apartment usually consists of me asleep, but
Well,
reading it, huh?
I have a I have a blog on there. I don't update it too often, but there is a blog. What else do I have on there? Let me check it out. Upcoming releases, music, links to check out, social media,
Mm-hmm.
and contact me. Um, I'm going to add on the social media. Well, I
Yeah.
have Patreon. I'm going to have a Patreon page, so if people want to donate and get gifts back, I'll have that set up in the next couple days. I'm on Twitch TV sometimes. I'll be on doing things on what's called TikTok,
Yep.
and I have a Facebook, Brett Harrison Portal Facebook page.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on your website now.
I'm seeing now that right now that the images for the social media are not
Mm-hmm.
loading on my computer for the Facebook, for the TikTok, for the um, Twitch. So I'll have to work on that. I do the website myself. They were working, but they're not now. So, oh wait, maybe I'm just on the wrong. It's not working on Edge. It works on Chrome though, I think.
You've written a lot of poetry books. Do you have, this is like picking your favorite kid, but
Do you have a favorite?
what's your proudest achievement out of these? Do you have a favorite, like out of these books, which one that you find you were the most satisfied with the turnout?
Uh, Honestly, I think it's a new one. It's called A Kaleidoscopic Love.
Oh, I love
Uh,
the title.
yeah, got a cool image of me, which Doesn't look like it could possibly be a selfie, but it was a selfie. I was actually holding the camera, and it doesn't look like from the position I'm in like that could be possible. But I was holding the camera in my hand, and it's I can read something from there if you'd like.
What's that?
I can read something from there if you'd like.
Fine. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Cool. All right. This one is called Sweet Delilah Rose, My Barren Hearth.
Okay.
This one I totally know what it's about. It's about losing a lover that I was helping raise kids with and her kids, but they were like mine. I and so it's a painful one, but it's very beautiful. So it's called Sweet Delilah Rose, My Barren Hearth.
Okay.
Sweet Delilah, I long for your scent. You're the blackberry in my brandy and the savory in my sauce. The myriad forms in my hallucinatory release. The spirit in that verge of my cusp, sweet Delilah Rose. Gone you are, and I'm in exile. Don't think I'm not as the idiot smirking, while the waves flood through my castle and remove, like a sandcastle in the flood, the highest trophies on my mantle. Forged by Borat and hard love, there was a family that might have seemed for a moment that I took for granted. My heart is barren this day, and all these sulking long nights. My tears don't know where to fall. In my heart, you linger like dawn's wings. I'm bereft even of your humor, and my sons and daughter like songs becoming forgot. And I miss you, sweet Delilah Rose. Your energy skitters through me one last lonely waltz. I'm okay but empty when it peters out, the long wave receding before my bleached out eyes. And I miss you, sweet Delilah Rose, for the pieces don't add up. The explanation's harsh and wrong, and I want to be yours, of course, with drumming, the shearing of my soul, as my temple's incense burns out, and I'm sorrier than you know, like the saint smeared by slander. I'm faithful to a T, but you lost my worth, somewhere in your anger and desperation, and I wasn't there for you that time. I didn't know you needed me, figured you were just out getting drunk, and I wasn't well, so I lost you. And the pieces are few and charred, like a bovine patty that drips with the sickening grease of a bad joke about cheeseburgers in paradise. I seem to have lost my own road home. I ask you to save me from the vertical ledge, above the damning waters of losing these kin, sweet Delilah Rose.
You know what? You read that flawlessly, beautifully. I don't think you would have any problem reading in front of people, you know. No,
Thank you.
I mean it. You know how to um you know how to uh express what you've written, you know, and yeah, I'm on your webpage on here right now, and you got several books on poetry and writing, and poetry was not my thing growing up, you know, but you made an art out of it, and you're not the only one, of course. I Outside musicians, I've never had a poet on here before, which which intrigued me when I reached out to have you come on.
Yeah,
Yep. So so people can like I see the prices on here of your books and whatnot. Um, I'm gonna put the link to this on my Facebook page so that people can check this out.
very cool.
Yep. So maybe we can get some more traffic to your web page.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Do you
And,
got any? Huh?
feel free, anyone in the audience, to reach out and to contact us on the page. Contact me if you want. I'm a social butterfly, so
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Yeah. You got any charities that you're involved in that you want to plug on here?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Um, I have causes, but I haven't. I This is my first podcast, so I wasn't prepared for
Mhm.
this question.
I
Um,
usually ask everybody just so you know if they got something that they're involved with that you know they could promote it on here, you know, for people that
yeah.
listen. Yeah, you know.
Uh, I'm a fan of the Sierra Club.
Mhm.
Uh, the environment is a huge cause for me. Another one is mental illness.
Mhm.
I don't have any particular causes for that, or anyone to plug for that, but that I've done any research into. Um, NAMI might be one, that the National North American Mental Illness. Oh, what's it stand for? National Alliance on Mental Illness is what it stands for, NAMI. Um, they, I know, do a lot of good work. They have a lot of local organizations that people can come in and have meetings, and are very supportive, and have done a lot of work to, I think they do legal work, um, to try, but they've been amazing. Um, so, and mental illness is a I have a mental illness. I have bipolar disorder.
Mhm.
At one point, it was made more severe, or it was more severe, and it became schizoaffective disorder. Now it's been since been downgraded. Um, I also for a while had idiopathic hypersomnia, which kept me sleeping about 14 to 22 hours a day every day. Um, so one huge cause for me is integral is the Integral Institute, and it's integral theory. There's a good website for it is integrallife.com.
Mhm.
Integral life. So two L's in there. It's one word. Integral theory is this probably going to be the most important theory of the 21st century. Well, it's a meta theory. It's a way of organizing the world's knowledge into, or finding it on this integral map, so that, and once you learn this map, it becomes psychoactive. You start thinking in its terms, and information just falls into it, and it helps one get incredible insights into pretty much anything. And it's good. And every field it's been applied to and it's been probably about, I don't know how many, 15, 30, 40, 50, I don't know by now, but has been revolutionized by it. So I think it's going to emerge as the most important theory of the 21st century, because it has the promise um, of changing lots of things for the better. So that's, and it's helped me. It's in my mental health recovery, in recovery from my hypersomnia. It's very good for working on oneself spiritually, psychologically, physically, all of that.
Mhm.
It's it a good Ken Wilber's lead thinker. But if one wants to get is interested in it, check out integrallife.com.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, your web page, where people can purchase your variety of books. You must be proud of that. You've got um, quite a body of work there.
Yeah, I'm not too bad for 35.
Hmm.
Um, I mean the poetry, each the poems usually take me 20 to 30 minutes to write. And it just I'm like, I feel pregnant, I start writing, and 20 to 30 minutes later it's done, and I don't have to worry about poetry for 2 to 4 weeks until that happens again. So it's not a lot of work. It just adds up very quickly. Um, what would be most proud of is my pen memoirs, book one, To Redeem the Skies, which I will send to the agency today and see what happens. Um, and that's going to be really cool. That's the first of three books that tells my life story. And it's autobiographic memoir, and it's also creative nonfiction. And I've just been laboring over that for way too long. But once I get the first book finished, then the other two shouldn't be too much work. And I have most of the whole damn thing done. The original thesis of it was I was over medicated. I lost my personality. I lost my creativity. And my life it felt like it was clear cut, and the forces of my life were clear cut, and the earth salted. And I came up with this thesis that I would write this book telling my story as I was living it, and with the goal of redeeming the cerulean skies.
Mm-hmm.
And well, this is the first book of that. I'll see how, and I'm still living actually the kind of denouement of the final book right now. Then it deals a lot with mental illness in myself and my family, and tortured, unrequited love, and struggles for creativity, because I have struggled to be a creative person, and to nurture and feed my creativity. And I say meditation has been the most useful thing I've done, besides a few journeys into psychedelia. But 1960s beatnik, who fell through the time warp, that's me, and music has been helping a lot. I can't wait to have this band and start playing with other musicians. It definitely playing with other musicians, and it helps to up the energy, and then performing does too. I mean, one thing I like to say is that the best concert you've ever had, most fun you've ever had, and the best concert you've ever had, the band was having more fun.
Depends on how close to the stage you are.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
But they're on the stage and they're close.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, plug your webpage one more time on here so people would know where to reach out to you.
For sure. BrettHarrisonPortal.com.
Yep. And people can purchase your books on here, and you got a lot of poetry. You've got a lot of great writing. I'm quite impressed, like just reading what you sent me. I would not have the ability to do that. And you're what I call, and I mean this complimentary, a happy accident, because like I said,
that's what my parents told me too.
Well, I was going after somebody from Orange County, and like I said, when you pitched your books and your music and whatnot, that was a smart thing to do. That's because not everybody will do that, and you knew how to market yourself to me, and as a result, I had you come on here, and I've had people come on the show that I've never heard of before, and I never turn these people down. I'm just honored that they'd ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I appreciate having you come on here today and reading your poetry. It's great stuff. Do you have anything else you want to plug before we close off?
Yeah. So I have a short story collection called Snap, Crackle, Breathe, Stories of Teosmanus, Volume 1.
Oh, awesome.
And some of it is artistic, philosophic, poetic, but stories. And some of it is science fiction. So I'm going to read perhaps the shortest, or one of the shortest short stories on it. It's less than a page long.
Okay.
It's called Dancing Through a Great Change.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I like that title.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool night, sleeping tight. Watch the moonlight rise over the river bank in ancient India. We're breathing and inhaling the tang of this incense and the smell of rich flowers wafting a world so vibrant. Rainforests, hold me, you do. We kiss and your breath is spicy and alive. Your flesh is wet and slick like the asphalt road during the monsoon season. The sun is hot, and heat waves dance and scuttle through the air. And what's far away dances like plasma in the vortex. I'm so sick of this shit, you say, because the tanks approach it. Another uprising kept down. Chaos capitalism grows its veiny private fingers of careless greed into our water. But the rain does come, even though it isn't monsoon season anymore. This cloud army is unloading its tears like geyser ejaculations, and the plants will breathe again. You pull me out and we dance in the rain. Dance, dance, dance. Everything dances, you say. The wise man in the shack sat cross-legged on a grass mat, and he said, love is relaxing, hatred is tensing, both are contagious. The insane sage said that the world was just growing, and this was just greedy, growing pains bullshit. Then the musicians showed up. And we're old now. The night has grown old and dark, and though this is nearing the finale, the musicians play like they never have before. And we watch the greed become exposed in the blind light of day, and we watch the world change. Now Earth is the economy, and we dance. It just happened. We worked so hard, we did it. The climate is heating. The rain still gush. It's the rainy season now, and we laugh as we dance. And the rains dance and gush, and the rivers swell, and our grandchildren visit. Are you wise? My grandchild asks us, and we see so much in him, so much beauty and innocence and love. It's heartbreaking and inspiring. And we don't answer. We just teach him to dance through thick and through thin and through pain, like the ancients reborn and rising again. So much love.
That was fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, I would like to encourage you to keep doing this. You got other books you're working on now, or because I just see you as somebody whose mind does not stop.
That's funny. My I don't have an inner mind very much.
Mm-hmm.
I like you ask me what I'm thinking, and if I'm not working, if I'm just sitting there, if I'm not working, if I'm not talking, there's nothing in my head. It's when I'm doing the work that all the magic happens. But I'm doing the work a lot of the time. So I'm working on my pen memoirs trilogy. Probably it'll be a trilogy. It may end up being 2 books instead of 3. We'll see. I'm working on a science fiction thing. It may be a book, it may be a series, depending on how it comes together, called Transcension.
Okay.
And that's an interesting one. And I'm working on the second presidency of Guinness G. Guinness. Imagine in a year or 2 or 3 or 4, there'll be another poetry collection. But I just finished this new one within the week, and I haven't written any new poems since then, so I don't have any work done on it yet. And I have a couple more songs to do for the Plus Times album. It'll be called Pure Love. And then I have to, learn the songs, teach my bandmates, find bandmates for a lot of it, record all of that. It'll take probably a year or 2. And then I'll have, and that one I'm going to want to try to market it to a what's it called? Music publisher, whatever, a record company. So we'll see how that all pans out. That's most of what I'm doing.
Well, you know what? It's great to keep yourself busy, especially in these times, It
Yeah,
allows you an opportunity to be creative, and I tell you, you get a creative mind,
for sure.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to promote on here?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Well, Brett, it was wonderful having you come on here today, and I loved hearing the poetry and the stuff you read off. And you know, I can't resist, before we close off, you read one more piece of poetry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot because it's you get a grasp on what you're reading. I find it hard for me personally to read like read aloud, that's me, but you're terrific at it. You really connect with your words.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Okay, this is the title poem of my book, Our Tired Paris Cliche.
Hmm.
So call Our Tired Paris Cliche. And here it is. This is a gem. Red eyes staring from Seurat's Parisian streets. At night, shadows lingering in dawn's husky embrace. Last fading stars are fireworks crackling down, cackling lips full of absinthe and the legal insane bliss. As water laps, fierce tangerine purple in the harbor mouth haze. Weary people float, ganja glazed down jazz streets. Dark rooms, black men swinging sparkling purple slick hair, jiving rhythm but building the embryonic haze. All one planetary fusion funk. Where will it end? Heaven still churning, birds chirping morning, silent post-orgasm clarity. New birth, new death, new onslaught of dawn's wings, carrying echoes of coffee shops and ancient tapestries fluttering. Red eye pounding headache and last night's blaring molten trombone. Shutter pain, collapse, beat burn onward. Sleeping in cool gray beach sand, timeless quartz castles, fluffy crystalline clouds. When we awaken, it scrapes through days, flying sun asphalt bed. It can never be the same. But last night's kamikaze waltz will never be severed from our vibe. And I'll ever see the rising vine endorphin tide. Orgies of apples, oranges, grapes, wine, multi-sense rainbow stippled fugue. Dreaming of hand claps to saxophone trills in black light, polyphonic sensations, pad couches, martinis, and primal screaming tenors. No, it'll never be like our first and last day in Paris, that 7th of June, 1959, but I'll likewise never miss. For all ever glimpse at sweet soul plethora, with your fuchsia paintbrush eyes, and you the same within mine, darling lemon sublime. And it ends with cool charcoal pictures in your studio, a farewell remembrance here, of cool cat Jasmine in the spotlight of a forever ungraspable, palpable moment in eternity. Charcoal like the last glances of night's low elbow groove. Forever love forever, for night can never die, flowing through two artists' rainy watercolor eyes.
That is terrific. And you read it off there beautifully, yeah, I would stutter doing it. So you're obviously very comfortable. So you know what? Like I said, it was great having you come on here today. And um, like I said, when you pitched yourself, I saw a story there. I never had somebody come on here and read poetry before. So you broke new ground on this show. Yep.
Cool.
When this is ready, I'll send you the link and you can post it wherever you want to.
Okay.
Yep. But I was really delighted to have you come on here today. And of course, people can order your books on your website, BrettHarrisonPortal.com. Any last thoughts before we end this?
No, we're good, man. I'm sure that I'll have a link to this very podcast on the portal website. So
Sure.
Cool. Cheers.
Well, you know what, maybe next year about this time, when you've written more stuff, I'll have you back on again and do a follow-up.
Sounds awesome, man.
Yep. You know what? I appreciate having you come on here. It was wonderful connecting with you and making this discovery for myself. You made a great pitch, and as a result, I've enjoyed listening to your poetry today.
Cool, man. You take care.
You take care. God bless.
God bless, man. Peace.